Oh yes, this just may be the one, the Gigabyte Aero 15. So this comes with Windows 10 Home. What the luck? Come on, let's get rid of that Windows Home. Let's get some Windows Pro. Copy and paste my code from the description. You can also get Office 2019. Just paste my code. Woof, it's Windows Pro time. Righto, tally-o there, champs. If you're new around here, guys, come on, sub up, join the woo train, hit that bell, ding-a-ling-a-dong, and hey, give me a like if you want to be a champ there. Now, this Gigabyte Aero 15, I tell you what, it's got me tempted. Now, I have made 2 videos on this already. I've done a gaming video and a content creation video, so if you want to know how this performs, check out those 2 videos. Link will be in the description. I'll also put those 2 videos at the end of this one. Now, you probably already know, I buy in the sort of premium 15-inch category, which is not the gaming category, which I would probably put this in, although it probably could go in both. And what I mean by that is like MacBook Pro, XPS 15, Lenovo X1 Extreme. I've done a video comparing all those 3 laptops, so yeah, check that out. But that's the segment I buy in, and I've never really been tempted to go into the gaming segment. I know you get better performance, get better graphics card, etc, but they're not great for daily drivers. Well, this one is. And what I mean by they're not great daily drivers, they're, some of them are really hot, they're noisy, and most of all, the battery life is usually not there. Like, the Zephyrus doesn't have the battery life, the Razer Blade doesn't have the battery life that this has. And for me, it's like a very important component to a daily driver. Now, previously, this had a trackpad that wasn't good enough for me for daily use. But now they've fixed that. They're using Windows Precision drivers now, and it is better, but still there can be improvements in trackpad. Because this has the battery life and it has the trackpad, I could definitely use this as a daily driver now. Now, the only other one maybe is the Alienware M15, which you can get a 90 watt hour battery. This one has a 94 watt hour battery. So you're going to get around 7 hours. And I've had runs up to 8 hours. So you're going to get good battery life. And it has every single port I want. So you got Thunderbolt 3. I mean, Asus are dropping Thunderbolt 3 out of their laptops. I don't know why. This has got Thunderbolt 3. It's got USB Type A. It's got SD card reader and the fastest SD card reader. It also has Ethernet. This has everything you want, and it also has probably the most color accurate displays I've seen. Now, this is the 4K version. Now, obviously, I would get the 4K version because, for video editing and stuff, I want 100% Adobe RGB color gamut, which this one has. This is also matte as well. But out of the box, I think Gigabyte's displays are the most color accurate. I'm not talking about color gamut, even though this one does have the color gamut. I'm just talking about the accuracy of the colors, like Pantone certified there. And when you look at these displays straight away, you can see how color accurate they are. So it's great for someone that wants to do content creation, that does color work, video editor, photographer, etc. So although I've never been tempted to go into the gaming segment as my daily driver because of the issues I've just mentioned before, this one's really got me tempted. And because you can get this with an i9 and an RTX 2080 Max Q. Wow. That's some serious power, 8 gigabytes of RAM. And if you compare that to, say, an XPS 15 or something like that, RTX 2080 versus a 1050 Ti, or even like a 1650 in the new XPS 15, there's only one winner there, isn't there? The only downsides to this is I think the fan noise at idle, if you're in a quiet room, you're going to hear it. Its design is not inspiring. There's nothing wrong with it. It's sort of got more like a ThinkPad sort of look. It's understated. I do like the carbon finish there, but there's nothing that stands out about it. It's very utilitarian, and it does have good build quality, but I think a lot of people that spend a lot of money on their laptop, they want it to look like something ultra premium. And this does have the build quality, but in terms of looks, it's sort of, not quite as good as some of the others in terms of looks. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of that Gigabyte logo there either. Now, of course, it does get hot and loud when it games, when you're pushing it, just like every other gaming laptop will get hot around that area there. But for daily use or video editing, it's not going to be an issue. When you're rendering or gaming, yes, all right, you're not going to put it on your lap. This is the one that's really got me tempted, and I assume they're going to come out with the 9th generation CPUs. Yeah, I'm just going to have to think long and hard, given that the next XPS 15, it's not shaping up really to be what I want it to be. And this just may be the one. It just may be the one because, RTX 2080, and imagine if you get these with the 9th generation 8 core in here as well. that'll be like epic. Even if you're not going to get the 8 core, you're just going to get the i7-8750H, which this has, you're going to get a great laptop. And usually you find these a little bit cheaper than the Asus's and the Razers and stuff like that. So they're a good value too. And when it does come to performance, you can check out those other videos I've made. This performs better than the Razer. So, it's got better battery life than the Razer, performs better, has a bit more ports that I want, has 2 M.2 slots. Yeah, this has a lot of advantages over this Razer Blade, which, a lot of people seem to like. I would definitely get this over the Razer Blade. There's no doubt there. If you get this, you're going to love it. Gigabyte are making laptops that people want. And one other thing is, what you're getting inside, okay? You know what 4K panel you're going to get. You get the AUO panel, really great display there, 4K display. You get the LG one if it's the 144 Hertz, all Intel inside. So you know what, Wi-Fi card you're getting, you know what SSD you're getting, no Frankenstein, and you got the Microsoft Azure AI, which, at the moment, it doesn't really make that much difference, but I do think it's going to help in the long run once they get more data. So, yeah, it's a great package. I'm really liking it. You're going to love this thing if you get it. And, catch you next one, guys. Tally ho. Yes, here it is, the Aero 15 RTX version. Woo! Let's go, baby. Champs, let's get rid of Windows Home and let's get some Windows Pro. Copy and paste my code from the description. New codes, new discount. You can get Windows Professional, Office. Paste my code. Boom. It's Windows Pro time. Tell you there, champs. Now, if you're new around here, come on, sub up, join the Woo train, slap that like button, ring the bell, ding-a-ling-a-dong. Now, what I have here is the new Aero 15, the RTX 2070 version. Now, you do have the option of an i9 and an RTX 2080 as well, 4K panel and 144 Hertz. But if you just want to know quickly, just check my last review on the last Aero. Pretty much everything's the same other than the trackpad. And of course, some other things that I will cover in the full review, like, all Intel inside, Samsung RAM, AI. Actual fact, there's quite a lot different, isn't there? But the main show is the trackpad is better. Yes, I can concur with that. And of course, the i9 option and the RTX graphics. Now, this is a thin, light, premium package. It's only like 4.5 pounds, 2 kilos, 18.9, I think, millimeters thick. Every port you want. The fastest SD card reader, Thunderbolt 3, awesome. Now I'm going to cover this laptop more from a content creation person's, point of view, because this is something I'm really considering. Probably the most color accurate display out of the factory out of any laptops I've seen. So stay tuned for my content creation review. I've got to also see how good this trackpad is and can I actually video edit with the trackpad, because that's important to me. I don't want to have to carry a mouse all the time around with me. But for gaming, obviously you would. And the one I've been eyeing off, there is actually a model with an i9 RTX 2080 Max-Q, and woo! Yeah, it's even actually cheaper than a MacBook Pro with the 4K display. Calibrated out of the factory, Pantone certified. A content creator's dream, because it has also that SD card reader, the fastest one you can get. Thunderbolt 3, it's got all that stuff, USB Type A and display port. It's got everything. And don't forget Ethernet. So for content creation, that's where I'll be concentrating mostly with this laptop, but I want to get a quick gaming review out there, and I'll say this thing games like a champ, of course. When it comes to thermals, that CPU will hit 90 and then they try and limit it. So when it hits that, you're going to see that clock and wattage throttle down a little bit. So when you game, sometimes that frequency will dip under 3 gigahertz. So the frequency sits between, the high 2000s and even 3.9 gigahertz, depending on the game. So it's just a bit of different way of doing things, like someone like Dell, they'll just let it run up to 100 degrees. And the clocks will be a little bit faster, but the temperatures, it's 100 degrees. It's up to you. Do you prefer that? A lot of people would prefer it would be under 90 degrees, and such a thin and light package, you can't complain. So when it comes to gaming, I would say here, if you want to game at 4K, get the RTX 2080, because the RTX 2070, it can play 4K, but you're going to have frame rates, in the mid 40s up to, low 50s. Games like GTA 5, it'll play 60 frames per second, 4K, even Overwatch. So if you want to play at 4K, get the RTX 2080. Now, I tested the games at 4K and Full HD. I tested them at medium settings. The thinking behind that is at 4K, you have to go to medium. And at full HD, you have to go to medium 2 if you want to get those frames over 100 frames per second. It will play, max settings, 60 frames per second, pretty much every game. So don't worry about that. If you want to crank up the settings, yeah, you can do that. But you're not going to get over 100 frames doing that, which you want with the 144 hertz display. But I have the 4K panel here, and it is an awesome display. Some people like 4K gaming. It's up to you. But don't forget, I strongly suggest the RTX 2080 if you're going to play at 4K. So anyway, in the brackets will be the 4K frames, and I'll read out the full HD medium settings. So DSX Mankind Divided 76 frames per second, GTA Full HD over 100 frames per second, Witcher 3 118 frames per second. Woof, how good is that? PUBG 128 frames per second. That's amazing. PUBG is really optimized now, I'd say. Overwatch 141 frames per second, and that was at ultra settings. And to round it off, Battlefield 5 106 frames per second. Now, when it comes to RTX, I would suggest also RTX 2080. If you're really serious about RTX, yeah, it will play medium settings RTX, near enough 60 frames per second at full HD. To be perfectly honest, when it comes to RTX, it is better at the higher resolution. So anyway, you can see this thing games like a champ. Stay tuned for my content creation review. I really want to see how this performs content creation. It is a gaming beast too. What more do you want in such a thin and light package? You're going to love it for gaming, content creation. Well, we'll find out soon enough. So I'd like to thank you for watching. And until next time, guys, tally ho. All right, the Aero 15. Let's see how good it is with content creation. Let's slam. So this comes with Windows 10 Home. What the? Come on, let's get rid of that Windows Home. Let's get some Windows Pro. Copy and paste my code from the description. You can also get Office 2019. Just paste my code. Woof, it's Windows Pro time. So we are indeed inside the RTX 2070 Max-Q version of the Aero 15. We first have a look at the disk. Nice fast disk, nearly 3,000 reads, 1,200 writes. That's perfectly fine. The good thing about this is because they use Intel SSDs and everything is Intel. Intel chipset, obviously, Intel CPU, you got Intel wireless and Intel SSD. So that means it's not going to be a Frankenstein. It's going to be more stable and you won't need drivers. Windows Update will do everything. So you don't have to mess it like some of the Samsungs, you have to install a driver and stuff like that. It's just going to work out of the box and it should be better and more stable as well. Now you might be able to hear it in the background and that's because it is getting slammed by Prime 95 here. And as you can see, we've got a clock of 3.3. It's maintaining. What do we got? How many watts? We've got around 61 watts is being pumped into it. Now the GPU isn't lit up, of course. Once you light up the GPU, it will not sustain 3.2, but 3.2 is perfectly fine for like a thin and light. It's really good. In actual fact, when it renders, you'll see that it goes second on the chart for rendering. So it is super fast at rendering. We'll see how it performs in a minute in the timeline and in Lightroom, Photoshop, etc. And I was actually amazed at how fast it was in rendering when the clock actually went down to like 3 gigahertz and sometimes under 3 gigahertz, but yeah, around that 3 gigahertz mark. And some other laptops that looked like they were getting higher frequencies were actually slower in Premiere Pro. And I think that has to do with this has 32 gigs and they had 16 gigs. That's the only thing I can really put it down to. But yeah, second on the chart for rendering in Premiere Pro. I will kill that Prime 95 now. Now the fan should start cranking down. And as you'll see here, this is the control center and this is where you can, put as much CPU power as you want. And you can manually control the GPU power as well, or you can actually use AI. And if you have a look here, they partnered up with Microsoft to actually use machine learning to actually control the CPU and GPU to give you the best performance in games, productivity, and even like content creation. What it does is it works out what's better. Should we put more power into the GPU or should we put it into the CPU? And yeah, oh, hello. Who's this handsome devil here? Bob of all trades. What do you know? Yeah, go check out his channel. Now in my test, it didn't really make that much difference, but I strongly believe that it will in the future. And what it does is it stops you having to tweak, right? So instead of you tweaking your CPU, GPU, undervolting, putting more juice to the CPU, GPU, you can let the machine just do it and it works it out. So that's pretty cool. So for content creation, this has got one of the best displays. The 4K one I have here is friggin' awesome. And yeah, that's the render speed there, the render time. 4K display is awesome. Color accurate, even the full HD one. They are so accurate out of the box. And as you'll see in the color profiles, if I go to color profiles. So if I have a look in the color profiles, you see all these different profiles. They're calibrated out of the factory. So there's different sort of white balances here. You know, do you want it at, 6,000, 6,500, whatever. But these are all baked in here. Like you can choose these in the control center. So they've actually calibrated this out of the factory. So super good for, content creation. Yeah. Have to be one of the best laptops for color accuracy and stuff like that. Let's have a look at some of its performances. So if you have a look at its Puget System Photoshop benchmark score, very good. Right up there with all the best laptops. 822 is really good in such a thin and light laptop. 68 for the graphics score. There are ones with higher, but this is a Max-Q, 1070 Max-Q. It's going to be great for Photoshop. Don't worry about that. Spec per view. And yeah, some really good scores there. It's going to be great for 3D content. It is better than the 1070s. So yeah, there is a difference between these 2070s and 1070s. So if you are into 3D, this has obviously got you covered. But as you'd expect, all right, with this, the previews are super fast. Look, in, out, in, out. You just go through all these. You can cycle through them. And look, super fast, going through all these previews. Let's just go in, out, in, out, in, out. Yeah, it's super fast. It's like butter, super smooth. Let's have a look in the develop module. Oh, that was in the develop module anyway, so it is actually slower in the develop module. I've noticed that. So let's have a look at the clarity, the one that kills it. Yeah, look at that. Look at that slider there. Pretty instant. That is instant. Look at that. That's so harsh on the system, that clarity, and that's no problem at all. Get a brush out. And let's just underexpose some of these areas. We'll just underexpose it by not that much, 5, and just paint the walls. And as you can see, that is instant too. Nice and instant there. See if I can bring back some of that. A bit overexposed, but now look at that. Whoa, look, it brings it in the back. And these are NEFs too. If you didn't know, there's NEFs and JPEGs in here as well. But yeah, that's instant. And if I was to grab the clarity slider and try, look at that. Yeah, it does that instantly. I'll turn it up full blast and then I'll paint some things, and look at that, instant. Clarity, instant, really hard on the system. Yeah, this thing is great for Photoshop, Illustrator, Lightroom. It's just going to be great for a photographer. Let's get into Premiere Pro. Okay, so this 4K project, honestly, it's like butter. Like, this has got color correction and all. And I remember, it was only a few years ago that this was so choppy on 15-inch laptops, the ones with the 4 cores and, with lesser graphics. But now, it's 8 gigabytes here, 1070. So, yeah, just plows through these 4K projects, no problem. I haven't uncompressed this. I haven't made proxies or anything like this. It's raw, straight out of a Panasonic GH4. Let's play it back. And it's all in real time. No problems. Dead high resolution photos. Let's see if it goes into the video, the 4K video that is color corrected. Playing it at full. It's going into the video now. This is video, color corrected, and I'll show you the difference in color correction. Yeah, plays through it, no problems. You can see it's great for content creation. Excuse me, my voice is gone. And I'll just give you an idea of how much color correction there is. Turn off that layer. Look how much color correction. So this is 4K with LUT applied. and it's playing it at full. So full is just a laugh at 4K. So you're covered for 4K. So when it comes to high resolution footage, if you've got red raw footage straight out of the camera, 5K it can play it back, 6K at quarter, and 8K at quarter. That's how it is. And that's pretty much how all these RTX laptops are. So I'm not going to waste your time just going through that. You can edit those things raw straight out of the camera, but yeah, you're going to have to reduce it down to quarter with the 8K. The 6K can edit straight out of the camera. So overall, this is excellent for content creation. I really like it. It's got good battery life too, so that's a great thing. If you had to do something, you know, you're stuck in an airport and you got to do some video editing or whatever, you're going to get, you know, at least some decent battery life. Other laptops, you know, once you light up the graphics card, they've got such small batteries, you're only going to get an hour or two. You're going to get more than that. Good for daily use. The trackpad's good. It's just on the edge whether you can use it for video editing. I would prefer a mouse with this. The trackpad isn't that good that you can video edit with it, in my opinion. But, you know, take a mouse around with you and you got great, thin, light, mobile workstation, great color. It's just really good and you're going to love it. And I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Tally ho.